Neutrl, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to talk about something that's just come live in the market today. Yes, it's Neutrl and their new synthetic dollar NUSD, another stablecoin. Now you might be thinking, Waj, why on earth are we talking about another stablecoin? There's 500 of them that exist in the market already. Well, this is something that is quite new, and essentially they are democratizing access to something that usually no one has access to. Not you, not me, only the very few, the liquid funds, the institutions, and those who somehow have the capabilities to get their hands on OTC deals. Now, OTC happens a lot in crypto. There are foundations who need to sell tokens. There's people who want to buy tokens, especially when it comes to series size. There's a whole market around this, but no one can really get access to it. Normal people like you and me can't get access to it. Neutrl are democratizing the access to this, particularly through a trade, the OTC basis trade, which we'll talk about in a moment. And today, that's kind of what we're going to go over. Let's start off on the Neutrl web app. They just launched today. They have 120 million in TVL. Part of this TVL actually came from a vault that was launched in collaboration with Upshift. I tweeted about this, so if you're following there, you would have known, where they raised 75 million. But yeah, you can deposit now and you can participate in what this is. But before we actually go into it, we need to actually understand how all of this works and what this OTC market strategy or OTC trade even is. And so we're going to just go back to some drawings, very, very basic. Now, imagine you have some USDC. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of protocols and crypto tokens, essentially, or companies behind crypto tokens that are worth a lot. I mean, you can just go and have a look at like the top 100. These tokens are worth billions in fully diluted valuation, as you can see here. We're talking about 2, 3, sometimes 20, some ridiculous valuations here. Okay. But of course, these tokens aren't circulating. These tokens are often locked. And so often what you find is that you can go to some of these foundations, especially before tokens unlock or when there are upcoming events, and you can actually buy tokens over the counter, OTC. And so we can take a random example here, and we'll take the example of, let's say, Story Protocol, which trades at a $3.7 billion FDV. But if you look at its circulating market cap, it's only 1.24 billion, right? That's just one example, but we can take a numerous number of examples. We can take Starknet as well, right? Has a circulating market cap of 800 million, but FDV of 1.8 billion. Essentially, the vast majority of these tokens are still locked, and they often will be sat in foundations or treasuries, and there needs to be a way for some of these foundations to sell them. They will sell them in some way, shape or another, and often what they do is they OTC them. Now, these tokens often still have a lock attached to them, some sort of cliff/vesting schedule. And so when you buy these tokens, you actually can often get them at a discount. And so because they may have, let's say, a 3-month lock attached to them, you may be able to buy the token at a 40% discount. And this creates a really interesting opportunity where if you were able to buy OTC from a foundation and you were able to buy a token at 40% discount with a 3-month vesting period, you can then go and do something where you go to a perpetual futures market and you short the perp, such that you've created a basis trade here, but there's something very interesting and something extra where you've been able to buy the token, your spot position, at a 40% discount. And ultimately, over the 3-month period, this allows you to not only realize that 40% discount compared to selling the spot, but it also lets you do the normal things that you can from a basis trade, which is earning the staking yield from your spot position and also earning funding rates when shorting the perp. And this is really, really powerful. Now, you might be wondering, how is this possible? Like, what do they have that lets them go to these foundations or get these really, really good deals? And it's a partnership that they have with STIX, who are one of their lead investors as well. STIX being the largest OTC market in crypto today. And as far as I'm aware, 70 to 80% of all OTC volume goes through STIX. And this is really the edge here. And you can see, look, all of these different protocols or layer ones or foundations they have tokens that are worth a lot. A lot of tokens are still locked. There are demand for sellers, and Neutrl here can be the buyer of these tokens. And so that's what they do. They buy these tokens from foundations at a discount, they short the pub, and they create this basis trade. Now, of course, there are risks with this, and Neutrl go over these risks really well in the docs. So funding rates, they can go negative. Counterparty risk, what if those tokens don't get delivered? What if people want to exit all of a sudden and these tokens are locked for a number of months? These are all very valid risks, and they go over all of them very well in this document. I'll leave a link to this if you're watching this on YouTube in the description below, and you can have a look at this. I won't go into too much detail here because we can spend probably a half an hour going through each of these. I really recommend you go through them. But yeah, look, there are risks attached to this trade. This is a trade at the end of the day, so it is just something that you have to be aware of. And so, yeah, that's essentially what the protocol is. I think many of you watching will know how Athena works. This is like Athena with some extra twists, or a different function, a different feature altogether, I guess, with OTC arbitrage. Yeah, because of that, they're able to offer or generate some pretty good yields. They are now tokenizing this and kind of giving access to everyone to this trade. This is a trade that liquid funds do a lot in crypto today, and now anyone can kind of get exposure through Neutrl. And so they have launched NUSD, which is the stablecoin or kind of token that backs this trade, this Delta Neutral token. They've launched it today with a points program. Now, there's lots of things that you can do. You can have NUSD by itself, but if you want to earn the yield, you do need to stake it as SNUSD. And so that's what you can do on the Neutrl app today. You can buy yourself some NUSD, either minting it or just going to the curve pool and buying some. There's some pretty good liquidity here. I think there's 10 million in total. Just launched today, very balanced pool right now, and yeah, you can get your hands on NUSD today. And in doing so, you can then start earning points. Now, points are earned for a variety of different things. They've written it out very clearly, or they've put it quite clearly on the front end here, where you hold NUSD, you earn some points per day. If you hold staked NUSD, you earn less points, but that's because you're earning yield. And then you can lock it for a certain period of time to kind of really supercharge it. So here you can see holding NUSD, you earn 5 per day. But if you were to lock it, and I think you can lock it up to 12 months, you can earn 30 times that, so 30x the number of points. Now, why would you want to lock? Well, it really helps Neutrl the protocol out. If liquidity is locked for a certain period of time, they don't have to worry so much about redemptions and things like that, and they can allocate probably more towards OTC trades and therefore offer higher yields. But yeah, look, there's going to be some game theory about what the best thing to do here is. I'm still figuring this out, and personally, I am waiting for a Pendle-like integration, because I think when Pendle comes and you have YTs and PTs, then I think it makes it very, very clear what the actual appetite is, risk-reward wise, and we can figure out like what happens then. Now, there was the K3 Capital Upshift Neutrl Vault that came out, and that's been earning points this whole time. I did deposit in this one, and so I have been earning 5 points per unit per day for the last few days. But of course I am locked here, and this K3 Capital Vault is locked until around Christmas time, I believe. So nothing really I can do there. Now the question is, if you want to participate, what should you do? You have 3 main options, right? You can hold NUSD, you can stake it, or you can provide LP. And for each of those 3, you can lock for extra points. So personally, I don't necessarily think that I'm going to lock. I think I'm going to wait for the Pendle markets. I think the YTs might be more interesting then. If you want to earn yield, then I think you got to just go for SNUSD. And I think that's probably going to be the more interesting thing. Doesn't necessarily tell you how much you're going to be earning right now, and that's because I guess yields are constantly changing. I'd like to see some sort of metrics around kind of how much I'm actually earning, but I'm guessing on the portfolio tab, you probably will be able to see this a little bit better. So yeah, there's no historical value on this particular portfolio, but yeah, maybe over time you can kind of see what your APR or what your rate of return is. I guess the other thing that lots of people will be asking is like, how do I know what is going on with those assets, the underlying assets, particularly more so over the last few weeks with the whole stablecoin embargo that we've seen going on in DeFi. And so Neutrl work with a protocol called Accountable, who have an independent proof of solvency dashboard here, where you can verify that assets are fully verified, that there is protocol reserves in place, the collateral ratio is correct and whatnot. You can't actually see what the trades that are happening are, but you are able to see the balance over time, and this refreshes every single day, and you can see exactly where all of the assets are, the collateralization factor, and things like that. So yeah, you got to trust Accountable here. They use ZK proofs to kind of verify this. Have a read of this and see what you think. Yeah, maybe we need to see more. I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Yeah, this is just a kind of intro video to Neutrl. I'll kind of maybe do some more once we see some more things that we could do with it. Maybe we'll even do some points calculations and figure out how much we're potentially going to be making from a potential airdrop. Who knows? I think definitely interested in the yield as well, and kind of seeing if we can scale it to those high double digits that Neutrl were able to show before. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. This is a very interesting new stablecoin that I think has come out. Still lots to learn and lots for us to kind of dig in a little bit more deeper. But we'll leave it out there. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. See you guys next time.